Hi everyone, so this month's challenge is going to be developing our splits. I'm going to talk you through some great prep poses to ensure that your body is warm and ready to be able to practice our splits. So we're looking not only to try and find flexibility in the hips, hamstrings, quads and glutes, but we also want to find strength in these areas too. So it's really important not to just think of your splits as a flexibility challenge, but a flexibility and strength challenge. So here are my top prep poses to get you started. First one is our low lunge. So I'll bring my right leg forward here. What we're doing with our low lunge is opening up through that hip flexor, starting to warm the hips a little. So press into our feet. You can have the toes tucked or untucked, depending on what feels comfy for your knee. And then, of course, if you wish to use blocks, you can bring these in, maybe sit yourself up a little taller, or you can start to use them maybe by bringing the chest forward and coming into this option. Whichever way you are, make sure that the spine stays nice and long. If you're here, the chest is reaching forward. If you're here, we're thinking about lengthening and reaching up through the spine, keeping the pelvis in that neutral position. From here then, we'll take this low lunge, because it's a nice transition into it, into our lizard lunge. So we just heel toe the foot out, so it becomes now towards the edge of the mat. So you're much wider here. We can bring our arms on the inside of our right knee this time. You can keep the leg down, maybe untuck the toes, or if you want a little bit more, we're going to extend the leg. Make sure we're creating length here. Again, can you see the line that I have with my body? I'm not dipping the hips or collapsing through the shoulders. I'm using my hands to press away through the floor, and most importantly, we're keeping that nice back leg dynamic too. Press into the feet, think about length here, and then with that right knee, I want you to squeeze ever so slightly in towards your right arm, so we're keeping that element of strength in the stretch as well. Breathing here. Of course, hands can come to blocks instead of the mat if it makes the pose a little bit more accessible. Good. From here, we'll move on to the hamstrings. We can do this with our seated forward fold. Again, feel free to place anything underneath your knees or underneath your sit bones. From here, find your staff pose first of all, just by placing the hands behind the hips. We want to try and sit nice and tall. Can you see that length I've created in my spine? So we're not slumping here, we're lifting away. Then take a big breath in. As you breathe out, I want you to keep that length there, either bringing the fingertips to the shins and keeping the chest lifted, or you can bring the hands towards the toes, or any part of the mat really. We're aiming to try and keep that spine long, and hopefully you can feel it through the back of the legs and a nice release in the lower back as well. Imagine you're pressing the heels a little bit further away, and of course we're making sure the toes are pointing towards the ceiling. Good. From here, we're going to find our half split stretch. I'm going to come back to that low lunge position, so I think it makes a nice transition. So we'll just prep from here. We're going to use our blocks, and then you're going to sit yourself back, okay, using the blocks to help distribute the weight across both sides of the body so that we're not lopsided, and they're also here to help you balance too. We're thinking about lifting the chest. Can you see I'm not sort of slumping forward, I'm staying lifted here. And then of course, if you want, you can creep the blocks maybe a little bit more forward, give you a little bit more space there, a little bit of depth in your stretch. Push the right heel away to really feel that bite. Keeping the hips level. Good. From here, we'll move on to our back. So we'll stay with the hamstrings just for now. Keep the left knee bent. I'm going to stay on my right leg just so I can demo this side. You can use a strap here, of course, or you can hug on the back of the thigh or calf, or maybe take your two-piece fingers towards your big toe and find your stretch here. To make this more challenging, you can extend the other leg long. We're imagining that the heel is pushing or kicking really towards the ceiling, soften through the shoulders, and make sure that the leg stays in line with your body, that you're not taking it out towards the side. Good. From here, hug the right knee in towards the chest, lengthen the left leg long, find that nice stretch in towards the hip. And then you can take this knee over towards the opposite side. So I'm now using my left hand, my opposite hand, to guide the knee over so we start to feel that stretch into the piriformis. We're going to head into our recline pigeon pose next. So bend the left knee, allow the right leg to connect. Now we want to try and make sure that the ankle is quite close towards the left thigh and that the right knee is pressing away towards the side. Now you can stay here in this position with the left foot down, or you can start to lift the leg, holding either back of thigh or front of shin, allowing, again, the shoulders, the head, neck to rest here. I love this stretch because I think that you feel really supported. The hips stay nice and level. It's sometimes far easier to access than our regular pigeon pose done on our front. But don't get lazy. Think about pressing the right knee out towards the side. So we're constantly trying to enhance the stretch and get that little bit deeper and work with our breath. Okay, so let's move on to looking at how we start to practice our splits. Now the areas of the body are warm. Remember to do each stretch on the other side too, but for now I'm going to take just the right leg forwards to demo. So blocks are really, really handy when you're practicing these splits, mainly because they help to keep the body level and they also help guide you into a deeper stretch with more safety, so you're not likely to collapse into the stretch and cause any undue damage. We don't want to be causing any injuries. So I do suggest that you practice splits with an element of care and remember to listen to your body and be nice and safe. So never push past that point of your stretch or your range of motion, and you should not be feeling any pain in the joints or anything like that. If you do, you need to come out of the pose immediately, okay? So from here, I'm going to take the right leg in front. I'm going to first of all demo using the blocks towards the side, a little bit like our low lunge, and then I'm going to show you how I use a block underneath my leg to get that a little bit deeper. So let's take the blocks into that half split stretch that we had earlier. So we're here, okay? And then what I'm going to do is use the blocks to help me sort of shuffle the feet away and to get that a little bit deeper in towards the stretch. I'm going to take my back foot and tuck the toes here because I find it a little bit more comfortable. So I'm using these blocks, and by no means can I get into full splits myself, but hopefully I can demo and show you well enough so you can start to practice at home. I'm keeping the hips level. I'm extending both those legs, but of course you can keep a knee bend here as well. It's absolutely fine and work from this, and then you can start to extend the legs. The blocks are here keeping me lifted. Do you notice my posture? I'm not sort of slumping or collapsing. I'm lifting up and making sure that the right hip stays back. It will want to creep forward. Let me show you this. This is forward right hip, and we want to pull it back and make sure that they stay parallel. Squeeze and engage the glutes. Use the strength in your muscles as well as the flexibility. And we can hold here. Good. So the next great way of using the block is to place it underneath the leg, underneath the thigh. So I'm just going to take one in this case. Again, I'm going to allow myself to sort of snuggle down into this stretch. I'm placing the block underneath the right thigh. You can tuck the toes maybe here to help you. Of course, if you have more than 2 blocks, you can use 2 blocks here as well on either side to help. And then that block is there just to support underneath my thigh. Hopefully you can see that there. And then you can work your way into it. Of course, if you're not too deep with your range of motion yet, you can start to work with more of a bent knee and come into the stretch that way. I suggest you hold the stretches for at least 6 to 8 breaths. We want to really try and develop those flexibility. And also, splits are something you need to look at as a journey. This is not going to happen overnight. It's probably not even going to happen in the space of 1 or 2 months. So hopefully this gives you some tools in order to bring into your practice to help you develop, but please do be patient. Flexibility is the hardest thing to find very quick progression, but over time, if you keep practicing, you will start to notice a real difference. Practice certainly does make all the difference. Please make sure your body is warm before you attempt any of these stretches, and of course, if you have any questions, please touch base. I'm always here to listen and help guide you in any way I can. Namaste.